Hello there, I am now in front of you to explain the Unit 3, Chapter 7 of the Principles of Teaching. One of the concerns nowadays is the assessment procedure, on how the teacher interacts with the learner or the students. On this chapter, I will be discussing the guiding principles in the assessment of learning. Remember that teaching cycle may not be completed if this is not guided by the assessment of learning. Number 1. Assessment of learning is an integral part of the teaching process. We teach with a certain objective to attain. After we have taught, then it is logical that we find out how well we have attained our lesson objective. Thus, we engage ourselves in the process of assessment. Let's go with an example. This example will relate that how can we determine if our students learn? We can give a seat work or exercise to determine if they understand the lesson for today. Then after checking, we have to find out where question or part of the lesson that are not good. If our lesson objective has been attained, then we proceed to teach the next competency. If not, we have to add up some information on the said topic or lesson. Assessment is an integral part of instruction, as it determines whether or not the goals of education are being met. Changes in the skills, base, and knowledge our students need require new learning goals. These new learning goals change the relationship between assessment and the instruction. Now, how do you assess the effectiveness of teaching and learning? You may collect data in many ways other than those in this job aid. Now, these include structured interviews with students, instructional rating, surveys, tests, and exams, content analysis of instructional materials, and review of classroom records. You probably already use many of these. Next is the assessment tool should match with performance. Now look at this. This is an example that assessment tool should match with performance. Now, the question is, which assessment tool to be used? Which test to formulate must be based on our performance objective? We can claim our performance assessment tool to be valid. Now, assessment tool or activity should match with performance objective. Remember that objectives will not be achieved and teaching would be a dull one. Teachers must consider learners' learning styles and multiple intelligences, and so must come up with a variety of ways of assessing learning. Now let's go with an example. If we want to teach our students how to dance cha-cha and how we want to find out if they are now able to dance, we simply play the music of cha-cha. Now, how can we determine if our student in a computer class can know how to open the computer and if they can type in a Microsoft Word? It is simply we can have the hands-on tools. Now, how do the assessment align to the learning objectives and standards? An aligned course means that your learning objectives, activities, and assessments match up so students learn what you intend and you accurately assess and what students are learning. Objectives are the expectations for student performance. They specify what you want students to be able to do when they finish your course. Now, what are the tools used in assessment? Remember, look at this one. This is an example of an assessment tool. Examples of 21st century assessment for learning tools, which include both diagnostic tests and formative assessments, are e-portfolios, teacher observations, class discussions, and work in progress with comments, think, pair, share, journals, observation checklist, concept maps, and rubrics. Now, another one, the result of assessment must be fed up back to the learners. If the main purpose of assessment is to find out how well the learner has attained a particular learning objective, it goes without saying the assessment process serves its purpose only when we return corrected tests at the soonest possible time. The results of assessment must be fed back to the learners. Students will not know their scores and cannot assess themselves. Teachers must consider learners' learning styles and multiple intelligences, and so must come up with a variety of ways of assessing learning. Example, we have a long test in mathematics. Now, after checking the paper and recording the results, we have to give it back to our students so that they will know where they need to focus and what are they need to improve. How does feedback contribute to the assessment process? Remember, number one, it encourages students to think critically about their work and to reflect on what they need to do to improve it. Number two, it helps them see their learning in new ways and gain increased satisfaction from it. This helps promote dialogue between staff and students. Number four, in assessing the learning, teachers must consider learners' learning style and multiple intelligences, and so must come up with a variety of assessing learning. We must consider that said aspect of learning so that they can evaluate our students' ability and way of the learning. Every child is unique, and so as it learning. That's why teachers must be flexible for this kind of assessment in their students. Teachers must know how to deal with every student's way of learning. Now, example, not all verbally linguistic students can do things that bodily kinesthetic persons can. Others, like musically inclined person, can easily get along with others, like mathematically inclined students. We must give different kind of assessment on students so that they can excel not just in one particular area of learning. These learning style and multiple intelligence are considered in our assessment activities if they are integrated in our assessment activities themselves. Now, the question in here, how do multiple intelligence influence teaching and learning? Using the different intelligences to teach a concept allows each of your diverse learners a chance to succeed at learning. The learner with strength in a visual spatial intelligence will do well with drawing and puzzles. Teaching to a student's strength helps increase learning success. Now the question in here, why is it important for teachers to know the multiple intelligence profiles of their students? Many teachers who use learning styles and multiple intelligences in their classrooms wonder how important it is for students to know about these models. Both models are useful ways of helping us to understand our own strengths and weaknesses as learners so that we may grow and become more balanced. Now, the question in here, what are the benefits of multiple intelligence? On a general basis, MI theories have three benefits: self-development and formation. MI theories can help students and teachers better understand their abilities. It helps students to build up confidence as it demonstrates how they can their strengths to address their weaknesses. To contribute to the building of the culture of success in the school, it is pedagogically sound that in our assessment techniques, we can give some positive feedback along with not so good ones. If a student done well on a board works, then say words to make them feel that they outperformed a task or a job, and later on telling them how to improve the not so good points in the form of suggestion without noticing. We can have this kind of assessment on most of our students, starting our critical evaluation of a performance or project by accentuating on positive point and giving in the form of suggestions. Those not so good points that definitely need improvement will cushion the impact of our critical evaluation. What are the examples of assessments which help students learn? The assessments best suited to guide improvements in student learning are the quizzes, tests, writing assignments, and other assessments that teachers administer on a regular basis in their classrooms. Teachers trust the results from these assessments because of their direct relation to the classroom instructional goals. Now, thank you for listening on my report, and please don't forget to click the button below, click the subscribe button and the like button. Thank you for listening.